Today we're going to be doing circles and circumference. A circle is the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point called the center. The Greek letter pi is a non-terminating, non-repeating number. The approximation we often use for pi is 3.14. The circumference which we label as c of a circle is equal to its diameter times pi, or we can say 2 times its radius times pi. So the formulas would look like this: c equals pi times diameter, or c equals 2 pi r. Let's look at a couple of examples. The first one, I'm going to go ahead and write the formula out before I substitute it in. So since I was given the radius, I'm going to use 2 pi r. So c equals 2 pi r. Now I'll plug in the values. So I have 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 4. When I work that out, the answer is going to be 25.12 feet. And this one, the unit would just be feet. It's not squared because we are finding the circumference, which is the distance around the figure, not the area inside of it. So let's try another one. The next one, we are given the diameter, so I'm going to use c equals pi times the diameter. Now I'm going to plug in my values, so pi is 3.14, and then we multiply that times the diameter, which is 63. 3.14 times 63 is going to give me 197.82 inches. We can also use a fraction for pi, and the approximation for the fraction would be 22/7. We use this value when the radius or the diameter is a multiple of 7, or it has a multiple of 7 in its numerator. So let's look at this first example. If we want to find the circumference of a circle with a radius of 21, and we're going to use 22/7 for pi. So first I would write the formula, which is c equals 2 times pi times r, because again we were given the radius, which is 21. So when I plug that in, I would have 2 times 22/7 times the radius, which is 21. I'm going to make these all into fractions so that I can simplify the fractions before I multiply. So 2 would be 2/1 times 22/7 times 21/1. When you look at this, I see that I can simplify 7 and 21. 7 divided by 7 is just 1, and 21 divided by 7 will give me 3. So now I have 1s across the bottom, so that's just going to be 1. And then on top, 2 times 22 is 44, and 44 times 3 is 132. 132/1 just simplifies to be 132 inches. And that is the circumference of this circle. So let's try another one. On this one, I'm given the radius, so I'm going to use circumference equals 2 pi times the radius. So let's plug those in. I'm going to go ahead and make 2/1. Remember that for pi, we're going to use 22/7, and then we're going to multiply that by 7/1 because 7 is my radius. When you look at this, you can simplify. You can divide this 7 by 7, and that becomes 1. And 7 divided by 7 is 1 here. Now we have 1s across the bottom, so 1 is going to go on the bottom. And 2 times 22 is 44, times 1 is just going to be 44, which we know is 44 yards. So that is the circumference, or the distance around this circle. Why don't you pause the video and try the next one on your own. Okay, so let's see how you did. The formula that we're going to use is circumference equals 2 pi r, because again we were given the radius. So I will go ahead and put 2 over 1 and times that by 22 over 7, which is what I'm using for pi, and then times that by the radius, which is going to be 42 over 1. I'm looking to see if I can simplify anything. And remember, we would have to simplify the denominator and then the numerator. So here we have a 7 and 42. I know that 42 divided by 7 is 6, and then 7 divided by 7 is 1. So again, on this one, we have 1s across the bottom, so 1 would be on the bottom. 2 times 22 is 44, and 44 times 6 is going to give me 264 inches. So the final answer would be 264 inches. And that is the circumference of this circle. Moving on to the next page. Let's try some real-world examples. The first one says, a hamster wheel has a radius of 4.5 inches. How far will the wheel turn in 1 revolution? So they've given me the radius, so I know that I'm going to use the formula C equals 2 times pi times r. And what they mean by revolution is that once the circle has turned around 1 time, how far will it go? So another word, revolution is just another word for circumference. All right, so let's plug in the values. 2, and I'm going to use 3.14 here. And the radius is 4.5. I know that 2 times 4.5 is going to give me 9, so now I have 9 times 3.14, and 9 times 3.14 is 28.26 inches. So that is the circumference of the hamster wheel. 1 revolution means that the hamster has traveled 28.26 inches. Let's try number 2. The Cole family owns an above-ground circular swimming pool that has walls made of aluminum. Find the length of the aluminum surrounding the pool as shown if the diameter is 30 feet, and round it to the nearest tenth. So we want to make sure at the end that we round to the nearest tenth. The formula, because we were given the diameter, that I'm going to use is going to be circumference equals pi times the diameter. Again, I'm going to use 3.14 because 30 is not a multiple of 7, so I don't want to use the fraction. So 3.14 times 30. When you solve that, you get 94.2, which is rounded to the nearest tenth, and the unit is feet. Go ahead and try the next one on your own, and we will go over the answer in class tomorrow.